Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Education and the school community. I am here to talk to you today about the online future of your school. Right now, Utopia Private School does have an online presence. You have a website, for which I applaud you, but in this one regard, there's just room for improvement. There's so much more that we can do. I have three major recommendations for the online future of Utopia Private School. The first is to talk directly about the website. I would like to improve the school library's online presence by expanding the library's website. The first objective is to increase the visibility and access to the Library Media Center by putting links to the libraries on the index, which is the main page, in a centralized location, and dedicating 3 distinct sections and pages to each library. As you know, Utopia Private School is a pre-K to 12th grade school with 3 distinct schools. There is a lower school, a middle school, and an upper school. The library website, therefore, has 3 different library websites with a portal branching off into 3 different sections. Therefore, my goal is to have a dedicated place for every library at Utopia Private School on your website. The second objective is to promote usability of the library web space and communication by creating interactive web pages, including but not limited to reading lists, e-subscriptions, bibliography guidelines, multimedia copyright guidelines, and useful websites. The second major goal would be to launch a social media campaign. We would create a library Facebook fan page, followed by a Twitter account and a library YouTube account. Regularly, content would have to be generated for the social media, and then we can invite the school community to follow us. Being a private school, it would also be advantageous to have the public follow us as well. We can embed social media feeds on the library website once it's completed as well. The final goal would be to promote the library's program through a podcast. First thing you need to do is to decide the topical focus of the podcast. Then you want to write some script outlines for the first 3 episodes. Then you record the first 3 episodes, launching the first episode via the website once it's completed. Then what we want to do is to syndicate the podcast episodes via RSS feed, then launch the second episode. Then we can maybe look for some potential guest speakers, either from the community or from the student body, for the following episodes. You may have noticed that there is a theme to the 3 recommendations that I am bringing to the table. They all have to do with Web 2.0 and social software. So let's begin. Let me show you exactly what we currently have on the website, why it is not acceptable, and where we go from here. Utopia Private School does indeed have a robust website right now, again, bravo for that, but access to the libraries is beneath the fold. What beneath the fold means is actually a kickback to old print publication terminology. When you are trying to attract your audience, you want the most important information to be at the top of the page, or in terms of web design, screen real estate. When you design beneath the fold, it means that someone has to scroll down in order to get to your information. There are 2 links to the library website, but they are both beneath the fold. The first is under top destinations, and the second is all the way at the bottom of the page. Once we get to the library's website, we see 3 distinct sections: the lower school reading page, the upper school reading page, and the middle school reading page. These 3 sections don't actually talk about the libraries themselves and the individual services they provide. It instead focuses on the reading lists and the summer reading programs that the schools provide. There are services that the schools do provide, like their online catalog, bibliography guidelines, etc., but once again, it is beneath the fold. You cannot see it when you first pull up to the site. You need to scroll down rather aggressively in order to get down to those resources. There also is no imagery, there is no special typography to enhance or direct the eye in order to tell people that these are the services we provide. Aren't they great? Aren't they fantastic? We want you to come visit. We want you to look at them. Now that we have established what Utopia Private School's library website has, how do we figure out what it needs? Is there overkill? Is there such a thing as having too much for a website that the school community really needs? Well, the way that I answered that question is I did a survey of all of the similar private schools in the area in order to determine what their library websites have and if it's something that we want to do too. Included in the survey were 8 different school websites, one of which was public, 7 of which were private, just like Utopia Private School, 3 of which were high schools or upper schools, grades 9 through 12. 1 was a pre-K through 8th, which is a lower or elementary and middle school. 2 were also pre-K through 12s, just like Utopia Private School, having a lower, middle, and upper. And 2 were junior high and high school combinations, which were 6 to 12. The way I based my assessment was on where the library link was located on the site, the services that the library website provides, and then a general note section to just sort of give my comments about the design and the typography of the site. The findings were as follows. Of the 8 schools surveyed, 1 had no website at all for their library, which was quite interesting because I know for a fact that this school does have a library. They just don't have any services on their website for their school or their community. Of the 8, all of them had an About Me section. 25% were 3 clicks in. What that means is that they had to click on one link on the main site, followed by a second link somewhere else, followed by a third before they could actually get to the site. 38% were only 2 clicks in, only 25% were 1 click, which means that they were on the main part of the main site, that you saw access to their libraries as soon as you logged onto their site. 88% of the 8 had catalog and database access, 75% had reading lists, 63% had research aids like bibliographies or extra help of some sort. 13% had a blog. None had any social media connections or podcasts. Now we return to our second goal, which is launching a social media campaign. So why social media? What's the point? Why should we join the global conversation? The first reason is advocacy. You're a private institution. Your funding depends on admissions. The more people who know about the school, the higher the likelihood that you're going to get more applicants. And speaking of applicants, did you know that over 500 million people are on Facebook? Over 190 million visitors monthly visit Twitter. That's about 700 million potential people waiting to hear what you have to say. And don't forget about school fundraisers, positive press for the school. The development and admissions departments are going to love that. Networking with authors, learning about conferences, joining the global conversation, and just keeping in touch with parents. I would recommend the first social media software to hit would be Facebook. The reason why is that Facebook is the biggest and the most user-friendly. So the most people are already on there. They're already used to the atmosphere, so it would be easy to get them to follow you. The first thing you should start with is a fan page. And I would use the fan page as your blog. You could put the blog on the website, but then people are going to have to take that second step to go to your website to either set up an RSS feed or visit the site directly. Well, if you use your Facebook fan page as your blog, people are already there. You're going to them. You're making it that much easier for them to follow what you have to say. Now let's talk privacy. I know that when a lot of people talk about social media, they get scared, especially when you're talking about middle school age children. I also know that right now Utopia Private School's policy is to have Facebook and any other social media blocked. I am not saying that Facebook and Twitter, etc. should not be made accessible during school hours, but I am saying that we can use these social media tools after school hours if their parents are already allowing them to be on the sites and the community is already on the sites. We might as well use them to our advantage. Someone once told me that in order to get involved with social media, you have to believe in it. You have to believe in it as a creative marketing networking tool with global proportions. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you've got to jump in. So we have Facebook. Why should we add Twitter? Why should we bother adding another status update generator to the mix? Well, the reason why is because some people just like to use Twitter more than they like to use Facebook, and it's free, so why not add it? Another reason is because with each tweet being only 140 characters or less, these are very concise, direct messages that we're going to be sending to our demographic. Twitter is great for having conversations at conferences with hashtags. It's great for having a conversation among students with having a hashtag. It's a great way to talk about your latest books because you don't have to do an entire blog entry about the book. You can just throw out the name of the author and the title and you're done. Okay, so now let's talk about YouTube. What could a library possibly have to do with YouTube? Well, first of all, if you didn't already notice, you're actually watching this video from a YouTube stream that is embedded on my website, librariankarina.com. YouTube is free and making videos for YouTube is extremely easy. You make them and you upload them. You don't need any special equipment. Everything that I'm using to create this video is on one computer. It's just a little MacBook. The web camera is embedded into the monitor. I don't have any extra special speakers, and I'm just leaning on a white wall. Furthermore, I know for a fact that Utopia Private School's middle school library alone has about 60 MacBook laptops, in addition to 17 iMac computers, all of which have onboard web cameras and speakers. So everything that you would need to create presentations for YouTube videos, you've already got in your libraries. So what kind of videos are you going to make for YouTube? Well, one idea is to do a library tour. You can show the stacks, you can show how your library is organized, and students in the school community can access it from your website whenever they like. In addition, you can do information literacy lessons, and you can upload it to YouTube so that the students can access it whenever they want. So for example, say you do a yearly lesson about the databases. Instead of having to walk around to each individual student showing them the details, you make this one video, they upload it, they watch it at the same time with some headphones, and then you're there for questions. 5 minutes and you're done. Not to mention the fact that they can rewind you whenever they like. And even better, if you decide to share your educational videos with the world on YouTube, you will be able to advocate for Utopia Private School and everything that it has to offer. Another idea is to shoot some interviews. You can interview yourself, giving an introduction about what your library is and what you're hoping to accomplish, maybe a little bit about your background, so that the students in the community can learn a little bit more about you. You can interview authors. Some authors just don't have the ability to fly in order to give a personal interview or to present to the school, so maybe you can meet with them some quick evening somewhere and shoot some video and then splice it all together. Another idea would be to do some interviews with some students. You can interview them about their favorite parts of the library or services that the library could provide. The possibilities are endless. Now let's talk about podcasting. The first thing you're probably thinking is, isn't podcasting just another form of social media? With podcasting, you have to think of the bigger picture. You're creating individual episodes that are going to contribute to a greater whole. Just like a television series, people, your listeners, are going to be expecting a certain topic and eagerly awaiting for the next episode. Think of it as your own personal radio station on the go. Speaking of on the go, that's another reason why you should consider podcasting. Podcasting is the social media of choice for commuters and anyone who is constantly on the go, because they can download it to their iPhones or their iPods or their MP3 players of choice. They can pop it in their car, they can listen on the train, they can listen while they're vacuuming. They can keep going and going about their lives without having to worry about logging into a blog or checking their email. In addition, podcasts can be syndicated through an RSS feed. What that basically means, without getting too technical, is that the podcast can go to them. They can subscribe to your podcast, and every time you upload a new episode, they'll immediately be notified and be able to download and listen to it. So ideally, now you've taken all of my recommendations, and we have a Facebook fan page, we have a Twitter account, and we have a YouTube account full of videos about our library. So how are people going to access all this information? Well, instead of forcing them to go to 3 different websites in order to find us, we're going to have something called chiclets on our website. Chiclets are basically just little tiny pictures. They're the logos of these different social media sites, and they're going to be in a nice, pretty rainbow line right on our site. People recognize them, they'll be able to find it right away, and they'll be able to access us. In conclusion, in order for Utopia Private School to remain the cutting-edge institution that it is, we need to get involved in social media. Social media is free, it's viral, it's accessible. The reason why I decided to present this to you in a YouTube account is to show you the power of social software. You can rewind me, you can forward me, you can embed me, you can share me. Your ideas are instantaneously globalized. I hope you join me in the global conversation. See you online.